Good day, everyone. I am Charmaine Aboga-a, your instructor for today. For today's discussion, I am going to identify and evaluate work hazards in shielded metal arcs and welding. These are the four hazards in shielded metal arcs and welding. First, physical hazard. Second, ergonomic hazard. Third, chemical hazard. And last is biological hazard. Physical hazards. Physical hazards are factors or conditions within the environment that can harm your health. What is the risk of physical hazard? It's that the excessive energy exposure can cause pain and injury. If exposure occurs day after day, we may develop a disease and possibly a disability. These are the type of physical hazards or the main factors and conditions associated with physical hazards include body stressing, confined spaces, electricity, heat, height, noise, and vibration. When we say body stressing, it is a collective term covering a broad range of health problems associated with repetitive and strenuous work. Confined spaces are enclosed or partly enclosed spaces that are not designed for people to work in, but in which people need to work inside occasionally. They can have poor ventilation and are a risk to health and safety from dangerous oxygen levels and contaminants like airborne gases, vapors, and dust. Electricity. Electric shock through poor electrical insulation and faulty appliances can cause serious injury and even death. It can result in death from electrocution, burn injuries to skin and internal tissue, as well as damage to the heart, and other injuries such as falling from ladders and heights, muscle spasms, palpitations, and unconsciousness. Heat. Heat strain can result from working in hot temperatures and being exposed to high levels of humidity or thermal radiation, such as in foundries, commercial, kitchens, and laundries. When working in extreme heat conditions, you must be able to carry out work without a risk to your health and safety, so far as is reasonable practicably. Height. Working at heights is a high-risk activity and a leading cause of death and serious injury. Noise. Noise in the workplace is considered excessive when you need to raise your voice to be heard by someone a meter away. Excessive noise can lead to temporary and permanent hearing loss or tinnitus or ringing in the ears. It can also affect psychological health, including anxiety, depression, fatigue, sleeplessness, memory, and decision-making. Last is vibration. There are risks connected to working with vibrating equipment and plant which need to be assessed and managed. Evidence also shows that people who experience vibration and noise at the same time are more likely to suffer hearing loss and musculoskeletal problems than people exposed to noise or vibration alone. What are some prevention methods for preventing physical hazards? First is reduce noises and vibrations present in the workplace. Second, place barriers between employees and physical hazards such as radiation or microwaves. Third, provide proper ventilation and air conditioning for employees. And last is insulate any surfaces that could be prone to extremes in temperature. Ergonomic hazards. Ergonomic hazards are physical factors in the environment that may cause musculoskeletal injuries. Types of ergonomic hazards, or the main areas of concern for ergonomic hazards include equipment layout and operation, lifting, pushing and pulling or manual handling, lighting, noise, systems and computer programs, task, job, and workplace design, and lastly, workstation design and height. Ergonomic risk factors are usually workplace situations that cause wear and tear on the body and can cause injury. But how to eliminate the hazards? The most effective way to control ergonomic hazards is to eliminate the risk factors altogether. Sometimes, you can change the tools, equipment, job design, or work area to remove the hazard completely. Good work design. Good work design is the most effective way to eliminate hazards as the process considers health and safety issues during the concept and planning phases. In these early stages, you have the best chance to design out hazards, effectively control risk, and design inefficiencies. Manual handling or lifting, pushing, and pulling. Hazardous manual tasks are where you must lift, lower, push, pull, carry, hold, or restrain something. These tasks can include factors which stress the body, such as repetitive movement, high or sudden force, awkward postures, and exposure to vibration, sedentary work, or sitting and standing. Too much sitting for longer than 30 minutes without a short break, and sitting all day can harm your health. Too much sitting is associated with an increased risk of being overweight, physical injuries when posture isn't regularly changed, type 2 diabetes and heart disease, musculoskeletal disorders, and some cancers and depression. Slip, trips, and falls. Slip, trips, and falls cause thousands of preventable injuries each year. Most common are musculoskeletal injuries, cuts, bruises, fractures, and dislocations. But more serious injuries can also happen in environmental factors which lead to slip, trips, and falls. First is the slippery surfaces following a spill or rain, poorly designed or maintained walkways, poor lighting on stairs and walkways, and trip hazards such as badly stored materials. Chemical hazard. Chemical hazard is a hazardous chemical can be a solid, liquid, or gas. It can be a pure substance consisting of one ingredient or a mixture of substances. It can harm the health of a person who is exposed to it. Types of chemical hazards include carcinogens, skin irritants, respiratory sensitizers or stimulants, memory loss, fainting, seizures, headache, and dizziness. Physicochemical hazards include also chemical explosions and fire, corrosion, chemical reactions, toxic cleaning products, fumes, and vapors. These hazards generally result from a substance or substances' physical and chemical properties. Harm from chemicals. The harmful effect on a worker's health is from direct contact or exposure to the chemical, usually through inhalation, skin contact, or ingestion. How can you prevent risk in chemical hazards? By practice good housekeeping and personal hygiene, use the PPE provided properly, follow safe work instructions and procedures given by your supervisor, know where to find the information of those chemicals you are working with, as well as the risks and ways to protect yourself. Similar to preventing biological hazards, proper cleaning procedures and sanitation requirements are the best methods of prevention. Training employees to follow strict guidelines is essential in preventing a chemical hazard. Last is biological hazards. Biological hazards, also known as biohazards, refer to biological substances that pose a threat to the health of living organisms, especially that of humans. These hazards can be encountered anywhere in the environment, including home, school, shopping mall, or at work. The biohazard symbol was developed in 1966 by Charles Baldwin, and environmental health engineer. Types of biological hazards, and also can be put into different categories. First is bacteria. A bacteria is a microscopic organisms that live in soil, water, or the bodies of plants and animals and are characterized by lack of distinct nucleus and the inability to photosynthesize. Examples are E. coli, TB, and tetanus. Second is viruses, are a group of pathogens that consist mostly of nucleic acids and that lack cellular structure. Viruses are totally dependent on their host for replication. Examples are common cold, influenza, measles, SARS, hantavirus, and rabies. Third is fungi, any major group of lower plants that lack chlorophyll and live on dead or other living organisms. Examples are mold, rust, mildew, smut, yeast, and mushrooms. How do biological hazards enter the body? Biological hazards can enter the body in many ways. When determining appropriate protective measures, measures are clear understanding of how it can enter the body. First is by inhalation through breathing. Second is absorption, direct contact through breaks in the skin, even chapped skin, or through mucous membranes, or contact with eyes, nose, or mouth. Third is ingestion through swallowing. And fourth, injection through a puncture. Human bodily matter. Workers in healthcare may be exposed to biological hazards through contact with human bodily matter, such as blood, tissue, saliva, mucus, urine, and feces. These substances have a high risk of containing viral or bacterial diseases. Molds and yeast. In some industries, exposure to molds and yeast is common. This is the case in workplaces with air conditioning systems and high humidity and in the construction industry. Organic material. In the work environment, people may be exposed to rubbish, wastewater, and sewerage, plant materials, organic dust, and food.
Safety first required in every situation. To be able to avoid or prevent those risks and hazards in workplace, wash your hands frequently with warm water and soap, sanitize the environment, and wear personal protective equipment or PPE when responding to situations involving those four hazards in order to avoid chemical reactions, injury, and accidents in the workplace.